All right. So, welcome, Chad. You were my first podcast guest ever. And now you are the first podcast guest of 2022. So, thank you.
Woo! That's exciting. Awesome. It's good to be back. Nice to see you and hear you.
Yeah. Where are you? Can you I mean, not to like if you're in hiding, don't don't reveal your
You're not supposed to ask that.
roughly
No,
where are you?
I'm on planet Earth. I'm not in hiding at all. I it's yeah, I'm okay with public awareness of my whereabouts.
Okay, cool.
I'm in Australia. I'm on the east coast of Australia, near Byron Bay, out in the rainforest in the hills just outside of Byron Bay. Beautiful zone where I live. Yeah.
Do you mind me asking like how is it there? Because I hear like I mean, not that I'm so tapped into the news, but it's like your Australia is a prison, sort of like things. Obviously, you're
Yeah,
okay, right?
I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm
Okay.
definitely not in prison. Yeah, no, it's been really really chill here in this part of Australia. So there's other parts of the country that have had really really severe lockdowns and restrictions and all that sort of stuff.
Okay. So it
But
kind of
no,
varies
for
by.
for the most part where I've been, it's been pretty chill. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was kind of getting a sense of. It's interesting how like you hear about certain things versus how like people's lived experience because it I had heard like in certain places we're not having any issues, but then like others like we are having issues, so
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they call it the news, but it's really quite sensationalized, and whatever sells is what they're gonna say.
right. Okay, but anyway, I
Yeah.
don't want to dwell on that. So awesome. Glad to hear that
Anyway,
you're cool and free and having a nice time where you are. So
yeah.
you've released two singles so far from the upcoming album that you are releasing March 11th.
Well, actually, three and a half or
Three and a
so.
half. Oh no. Okay, I
Yeah,
just added
there's
two to my
yeah,
playlist.
there's three that have been out already. Say Yes came out on 31st of December, and then after that, a new one called Strong and Surrender, and another one called Love Is Around. And then
Oh,
I
okay.
say I said three and a half because actually, right now during the recording of this, there's another one that's being released right now today, and it's they do it country by country, so I think it's available in 50% of the countries so far. Yeah, so new track being released today is called Blessed to Be.
Okay, cool. What was the first one that you said? So there's Say Yes, Love is Round,
And Strong in Surrender.
Strong and Surrender. I see that now. Okay, cool. The first two show up on like your top five. I think that's why I got confused. So
Uh-huh.
cool. I'll add that one
Yeah.
too. I have this playlist that like matches your style perfectly. So whenever you release something, I just add it because it's called Way Up Feel Good Songs. And like most of it's kind of like reggae, like feel good songs. So
Nice.
yeah.
Great. Cool.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So I will add that. Awesome. That's so exciting. It's been a while since you released new recorded music, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the last album that I released was in 2018. So, yeah, this new album, I've been working on it for the last 2 years actually, and so it's really exciting to finally get it out there into the world. And it's my fourth album, but it's the first that I've recorded and engineered myself. So, over the last couple of years, it's a big learning curve. I've really dug in and learned the whole art of, sound engineering and stuff. And I'm really blessed to have a few really good friends who are pros at that kind of stuff. So I've had good mentors and people to get tips from. And yeah, so this is my recording studio where I'm sitting right now. Got all my
That's so
microphones and stuff around
cool.
me, and yeah, so it's been really cool. It's a super empowering journey being able to record my own music and not be on the clock in somebody else's studio, but yeah, just to be able to let creativity flow through me in that way. And I've been finding just new waves and new avenues of creativity flowing through me. And yeah, it's great being able to find expression for sounds that I've heard for years and haven't been able to actually create, and now I'm actually able to do it. So yeah, it's been a really cool journey with that.
I remember when you were recording for my album, like I mean, it was so obvious that you had kind of a production. I was really surprised that you didn't record yourself just because of how you like acted in a studio and all these ideas that you had. So the fact, I mean, just you seem to have just taken like that missing component and like flown with it. So it's
Yeah,
exciting.
I mean, I had definitely been involved, with your album, and then so many other albums for other people as well on the production side, as far as the creative aspects of production. Where yeah, the missing piece was knowing how to push the buttons and move the sliders myself and work the gear, and which was a bit daunting to me at first. Actually, I'd spent so many countless hours in recording studios for so many years, but hadn't paid enough attention to like
Yeah.
how the machinery works, So, but yeah, when I dug in and got right into it, yeah, like it's just been empowering and a lot less difficult than I thought it would be. And so, for I guess for anybody that's listening, that's just an encouragement. Whatever mode of creativity you feel inspired to grow in, just do it. And the universe always provides the means for our goals and visions and calling to come into fruition, I believe.
I like that. Yeah, definitely. It's that made me think of something, but I forgot. I was reminded of when I was speaking to another producer that I've worked with, and he was saying that he was in some like rock group in the 80s, I think, in Germany. And that's how he actually learned how to engineer, was just by, instead of taking like the coffee and the cigarette breaks with the rest of the band, he'd just like chum it up with the engineers in the control room, be like, so what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And so that's how
Uh-huh.
he learned, which I think is interesting. But yeah, it's always seemed
That's
pretty
great.
daunting to me. The creative side of it, not as, the creative side's fine, but like the actual, are you mixing? Is that something that you're doing, or?
Yeah, so this album, I recorded it all myself, and then with the mix, I mixed it alongside another friend of mine who's a pro engineer. He teaches sound engineering at a really prestigious sound engineering school here in Australia. And yeah, so instead of paying him to mix it, I paid him to mix it with me. So we did it together. And so mixing this album was my learning process of that whole process, So um, yeah, now I feel confident with mixing. And so I'm actually working on another single already that will be released later after this album that I'm mixing all myself as well. And I'm still, I send it to other engineers to get tips and ideas and feedback. But at this point, yeah, it's been a huge learning experience, and I'm at the point where I feel confident with working on mix as well. Yeah.
How does that kind of affect, if at all, your live performances, or how you feel about live performing versus recording, or any of that? Has it kind of tipped the scale in terms of your time?
Well, the live performing aspect of my life has been not as prominent as it was before 2 years ago. So that's kind of why I really decided to dig in with recording in early 2020. Just my normal touring schedule, everything got canceled. Yeah, in 2020, I had the biggest like world tour schedule planned that I had ever had planned before, and it all fell fell away when the world began the big tantrum that's kind of still happening a little bit,
I call it
and
the panic demic.
the panic, yeah. um, yeah, so I was bummed about that for about 5 minutes, and then I thought, you know what? It's actually really good that I'm gonna have like a forced break and really be able to chill and have that more lifestyle being in one place for a while. And so I've been right here in the same area in Australia for 2 years and haven't been traveling a whole lot. I've done a little bit of touring around Australia when it's been available to do so over the last couple of years, but I've really just been here for the most part and doing a lot of more low key, secret, private event kind of stuff that I've been playing at under the radar when there has been restrictions, and then playing a few little public things when there is the restrictions lift and all that. But yeah, I just have taken the opportunity to really dig into the recording side of things, and it's been a really, really, really good thing for me. And one of the things in that journey is I've always wanted to record my music in such a way that it's a really good representation of the way that I present it live. Because sometimes you can listen to an artist's music live and their music recorded, and it can be very, very different. And some artists have amazing recordings, but their live situation isn't as inspiring. And some vice versa. Some artists are just incredible and produce an incredible experience in a live setting, but then I haven't been as inspired by the recordings. And so my goal has been in the past to just try and recreate what I do live and try to capture that, and not overproduce things and have too many more elements that aren't actually in the way that I can reproduce my songs in a live setting. But yeah, it's been cool in this particular set of recordings, these songs, to just kind of explore dipping a little bit more into more interesting production techniques and soundscapey stuff, and little tidbits that come in and out. And yeah, so that's been a really cool aspect for me.
That's interesting because when I hear your say yes, I actually feel like it sounds a lot like what you feel like live, even though it may not sound exactly like it or have all the instrumentations that you're using. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Awesome, thank you. That's great feedback, because that's what I'm going for.
yeah, you create, for anybody who's seen you live, like there's such a like audience participation, which is really hard to capture as a recording. I mean, like if you
Mm.
listen to something, for example, that Krishna Das does, and he'll like
Mm-hmm.
make it very literal. Like when he records it, I sing, now we hear the audience, like the audience is mic'd and that's part of the recording. Um,
Uh-huh.
but it's not, but it's basically just like a recording of a live performance as opposed to like a, a studio recording, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even if it is a studio recording, because I think it often is. I don't think he actually, I don't think most of his albums are live recordings. But anyway, um, I could be totally wrong about that. But I guess my point is like you were you your recordings were maybe using all the instrumentations from before, but now it does, like with that, especially with that one, because there's so many voices on it. Like I feel like that felt a lot like being in the room with you
Awesome,
as I remember
awesome.
it.
Thank you so much for that feedback.
Uh,
That's great.
yeah, so that's so fun. It's sad that, well, it's nice that you got this experience to cocoon and learn recording and whatever, but I'm sure people that are used to seeing you live are also missing that. So
Yeah, I'm hoping, I've got itchy feet. I'm hoping to have the opportunity to do a lot more traveling sometime soon.
itchy feet.
I mean, yeah, not literally.
No, that's a great expression. Yeah, I that's something that, like, I mean, as you know, it wasn't like a part of my daily life. So that it did, yeah, that didn't feel like it stopped that aspect of it. Although the little that I did do, I did feel the like I did feel sort of the sadness of having to not do it, even if I was only maybe doing like 6 a year or something like that. um,
Uh-huh.
it's sad not to be able to do anything. So I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that you got to do some music where you
Yeah.
where you are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's been
yeah,
it's been good.
that's
Hmm.
cool. When you mix with somebody who is a mixer, how does that change the experience for them?
Well, so I think in audio production, basically, mixing and engineering in that way, the mixing side of things can be very blurred with production, or like the creative side, so making the creative decisions. So I think in any audio recording project, you really, here's an example that the project that I worked on with you when we recorded your album. the roles were kind of like, you have your ideas of what you want to bring forth. I have my creative ideas that I suggest, and so I had a lot of like production decisions that I was kind of making calls on as well. But it ultimately came to you, and then we had the main engineer who was basically like doing all of the technical stuff, but then also had a whole lot of creative input as well, and I think that every project is different. So for me, with mixing this particular album, by the way, I haven't said the name of the album yet. This new album is called Hollow Bones So I Can Fly, and yeah, there's a new single being released every Friday at the moment, leading up to March 11th, which is the full album release date, and it will all be available.
And I will
Yeah,
link all of that info in the podcast description box, as well as talk about it in the intro. So don't worry, it won't get lost.
great, awesome, thank you. Yeah, so with this particular project and the mixing of it, basically, he and I would sit side by side, and we'd do 3-hour sessions and just work on whatever song we're working on, and I was directing creatively everything that I wanted to happen, and he had the technical skills to be able to do it. And so I was kind of directing the creative decisions. He would make suggestions here and there, but for the most part, kind of following my lead as far as where I want things to go. And as he was doing everything, I was intently watching and taking notes in my mind of how it's all happening, how it's all working.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so it was like one-on-one learning from a really awesome engineer, as
Gotcha.
well as getting my album mixed. So yeah, really good
Yeah.
deal.
Okay. Okay. I think I've done a similar process with
Hmm.
somebody, but I haven't. That's the key thing. I don't think I took notes in my mind
Uh-huh.
on what they did. I was just
Yeah.
there to supervise. Um,
Right. Yeah. See, that was a big part of my intention, was to
yeah.
learn as well. Yeah. I was at school.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, what a great way to learn too on your own sound, because that's the one that you're going to know the best, and obviously know how you want it to sound, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's neat. So who did you work with on, besides mixing and engineering? Like what sort of instrumentalists, and where did they hail from and all that?
Okay. Yeah. Just lots of my local friends from around this area where I live. I played most of the instruments myself, but
Not
I pulled
surprising.
in. Yeah, I've got a drummer that played on a couple of tracks. Got a violinist friend, and got a flautist slash saxophonist slash clarinetist that played on a few tracks, and trumpet, and yeah, my buddy who plays Native American flutes. He actually did all the Native American flutes on Say Yes. So when you listen to that, there's actually four different flutes going on, kind of weaving in and out, and some of them all at the same time. So it's kind of like this orchestra of wooden flutes.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so the latest single that was released last week, called "Love Is Round," that actually has a feature artist on it,
Mm-hmm.
Murray Kyle, who some of your listeners might know of. He's a good friend of mine, an epic musician, and yeah, so he wrote a verse that pops up in the middle of that song, and kind of it goes into this beatboxing section, and then drops into this reggae segment in the middle where he busts a verse out, and yeah, it's really good. And then kind of mellows out back into the rest of the song. Just kind of this reggae section pops up out of nowhere and then disappears. Yeah, it's it's really fun. It was
Did
really cool
you
collaborating with him.
kind of have this song and was like, I think it would be really great if you wrote a verse, or how did that transpire?
Yeah, yeah. I was just inspired to throw something in the middle where I would have a collaborative thing with him. And so yeah, I wrote all the instrumentation for it all, and just basically sent him the file and said like, hey, like let's come up with some words and throw something down on this, and yeah, it came out really great.
That's cool. So, just for those who are maybe not aware of how many instruments you can hold at the same time, I'm kidding. Play. um, what did you play? Can you just tell us, just for fun?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so the other thing that I pulled a lot of people in on was the backing vocals. So I've got a
Mm,
lot of other vocalists on there as well. But yeah, I think my main instrument is my voice, and then guitar and strings kind of things, ukuleles and stuff like that. But yeah, played a lot of other stringed instruments, charango, and I did play drum kit for one of the songs myself on Say Yes. Actually, I played the drums. I played all of the bass lines. I played most of the flute as well. I play a silver flute, orchestral flute, and most of the percussion I did as well. So yeah, I did lots of different forms of percussion on different tracks. So calabash and cajon and djembe and some dunduns even, and all sorts of little auxiliary percussion instruments, things like
I
that.
mean, it's so perfect that you can now record yourself. Like how much money you're going to save just, or like not even that, but just like because those obstacles or don't exist anymore for you to be able to get what you write to people hearing it. Like so exciting.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I do find that I still spend a lot of money on microphones and and new instruments and all that kind of stuff.
It's the
But
bottomless pit for musicians or
it is,
recording artists. Yeah.
yeah. But one great thing is that I'm not on the clock, and when you're in somebody else's studio and you're paying them, it's kind of like, oh, that minute was another dollar or more, and it's just you feel like you got to be really prepared and just get stuff done. But
Yeah.
what's really cool about doing your production yourself is you can just try stuff, and if it doesn't work, you just delete it, and you
Yeah.
can have the freedom of doing it in the middle of the night when the inspiration comes up and just like, oh, I'm just gonna jump in next to the microphones and get some stuff done now. It's the creativity's flowing, it's moving right now, so
Yeah. It's
yeah,
not
yeah, there's no
at
time
4 p.m.
constraints.
when you scheduled it, but might not be feeling it. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
which that's I like to live my life um on my own schedule, for the most part, and so it's nice to have that freedom to create when I want to create.
That's so cool. So has your writing process been similar? Have you been like I find for myself that like I'll go through kind of writing periods and then like recording periods that I'm not so much writing music when I'm involved in recording old stuff and I'm not sure like how is that for you?
Yeah, and currently gosh, I've had so much creativity flowing through in the songwriting ways for the last couple of years. Really, I'm writing new songs that I really love a lot faster than I'm recording them.
Mm.
So I'm wanting to remedy that and spend a lot more time in front of the microphones and just like
Mm-hmm.
really get stuff out more. But yeah, I find myself writing new songs almost weekly at the moment. Just new things keep coming through and new inspiration, and a lot of stuff sticks and does become something, and some things don't stick, and that's okay. But yeah, I'm definitely in a flow state lately with that kind of creativity coming through.
Do you have a setup that you could record stuff live and just post on YouTube? You know, like a you can lightly mix it kind of, but just have it be a live recording.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
That
Hmm.
might be a nice way to just get it out there.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good
Okay.
idea. Yeah.
I'm in
Maybe I
that,
will do
I'm
that.
kind of in that mode right now. I'm feeling like I need to, because usually when I'll write a song, I will share it on my YouTube channel, but I'll record it like, just have my phone in a corner of the room and it's not the most ideal sound quality. And somebody
Uh-huh.
mentioned it to me once, and I was like, oh yeah, I have recording equipment.
Right.
I could, I could go that extra step and just yeah, put it through there. So
Yeah, might as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy how easy it is to share um, live, but online.
Uh-huh.
Kind
Uh-huh.
of kind of a wonderful side effect of all this too is that
Yeah.
that's just become so much more normalized.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
yeah.
I need to plug in my laptop really quick. This is gonna
Okay,
take me like 10
let's do
seconds.
that. I'm gonna pause. Okay. It's like summer there. I'm just realizing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Happy summer.
Thank you. Happy winter.
I'm I'm drinking lots of water because it's of the heating in our house that makes me so dry.
Yeah.
And you have a different a different reason. Well, everybody should drink water, but
Yeah. I think we have the same reason for drinking water, but
yeah,
yeah, I
right.
hear you. I hear you on that.
uh, I feel like there is so much that we have missed in 2 years that I can't. Uh, Tell me something, Chad. It's not coming to my mind. I mean, so much must have happened in 2 years. This, which was the last time that I spoke to you, I think,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was actually late 2019 even when we
2019?
did. I believe so. Was it? Or no, or was it early, super early 2020, like
Okay,
maybe
you
January
talk and I'll look
2020.
that up because I have it. I have what when the podcast aired on
Okay.
here.
Gosh, I don't know what to say now. Um, I just get to say anything I want, hey? Mm. I'm having trouble accessing what I'm supposed to say right now.
What's been on your mind lately? Like, what have the your song? What has your song material kind of been bringing you? Like,
Okay. Um, well, I feel like I just keep writing the same song over and over with different words still for the last decade. And so, you know, I mean, my core message is unconditional love, and you know, I try and bring that forth in lots of different ways, and there's lots of different aspects of that, you know. So that comes in messages about gratitude and surrender, and um, you know, oneness, universal oneness, and yeah, you know, I guess I could mention just a few things about some of the songs I'm putting out. Um, I've filmed a new film clip just recently for a song that's coming out next week. It's coming out on the 28th of January, called "There's This Thing." And that's a really fun song for me. It's a really different one. So you know what? Actually, I'm gonna send you that song if you'd like to stick
okay,
it
I
on
just looked
this.
it up and we talked last September 2019. That's when it was. So you were
Right.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it
Wow.
was.
It's been ages. Far out. Yeah, so I've got this song called "There's This Thing," and it's really really fun. It's one of my most requested songs in live settings at the moment, and it's one of my favorite songs to play. And it's you know, with the songwriting process that I do, there's kind of different songs that I pull out in different scenarios and different situations. So some of my songs are more like almost mantras, where it can be very repetitive, and so it's really easy for people to catch on and sing along, you know. And then sometimes I have songs that are more wordy and more contemplative and have more information in them, and you know, I pull those out when the moment calls for it, where it feels like everybody's just zoned in and ready to just listen and absorb what's something that I have to say, you know. And "There's This Thing" is one of those songs, and it's this interesting kind of it's ultimately about the oneness of all things. It's about this thing. It says there's this thing. We all know that it's there, but we don't know how to describe it. And it's ultimately about, like, we have this sense that there's this thing, and what it is it's everything, and it's oneness, and it's the consciousness that is alive within everything, you know. But I go about this whole song kind of describing this mysterious thing in all these different ways, and there's a lot of humor in it as well. And so that's a really fun song that I've been playing a lot lately, and I've just filmed a film clip for it, which is it's will be coming out just a few days after the song comes out as well. So I think January 31st the video will be out on YouTube and on all the video platforms and stuff. So yeah, I came up with this really interesting concept where in the video I'm like a news presenter, and it's like a morning news show, you know. So I've got my suit and tie and everything, and I'm at a desk and talking, and then there's a co-host, which is also me, and then there's guests that come on the show that are also me, and we did a lot of green screen things so there could be multiple versions of me all on at the same time, and then, you know, every once in a while we'll cut to the studio audience when they do applause or something like that, and it's like a whole bunch of me in the audience as well,
Oh, that's
and
so
I
cool.
and so I'm acting like I'm a telling the news, but I'm lip syncing to the song the whole time as well. And then there's like a sports segment and a cooking segment, and then there's like a helicopter segment where there's a helicopter driver. And um,
So fun.
yeah, it's really fun. It's really quirky, and it was an interesting project for me because it's been really good for me to express in the music that I'm releasing that kind of side of my personality, because people that know me well know that I get really silly. I've got a pretty quirky personality. I like to have a lot of fun and just get silly. That's a really big part of me and how I like to relate and interact with the world. But for the most part, people that follow my music have had just the side of my personality and the perception of me about like, some kind of like really spiritual guy that just sings about spiritual things. I don't know. Everything's spiritual ultimately though, and just having fun and making humorous things I think is a really important thing too. So yeah, it's just kind of this particular song and the video that goes along with it has been really fun to create because it expresses a whole different aspect of who I am than I feel like I've felt free to express publicly as much as I do now. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That was something that I was going to ask you about next, actually, because when you said that all of your songs are basically about the same thing, about oneness and, unconditional love or whatever, I know, everybody knows there's times when you're not feeling unconditional love.
Yeah, yeah.
um, what do you do? Like, do you, are you what's the word? Are you opposed to writing songs about your down moments, or do you like it? Is music part of those moments for you, or are those moments when you kind of just reflect and go into yourself and don't produce in the sense
No,
of
I definitely do
creatively?
produce. Yeah, I do get creative in those moments. Yeah, I mean, there's always undulations and ups and downs and waves in life, and I I don't think that it's good ever to bypass any negative feelings that come up. It's really important to be with what is. I'm a big fan of reality. I think that reality is great, and it's not good to dumb
Oh my
down
gosh, that's a
yourself.
t-shirt. Chad, that is a t-shirt.
But I'm a big fan of reality.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I may use that. We can split the profits. Go
Do
ahead.
that. Do that. I'll wear it. I'll definitely wear that shirt. Um, yeah, I think that a lot of humanity lives in a way that is really not open-hearted, and most of humanity is often in more of a self-protection mode rather than an open-hearted mode. And most of humanity has a lot of ways that we dumb ourselves down or numb ourselves or try to escape from what is. And we oftentimes live in resistance to what is, in resistance to reality. And so I aspire to not be like that. I aspire to really face life head on, and whatever comes up in life to be really present with it. And so whether it's joy or whether it's grief, I really value the deep medicine that there is in really actually feeling feelings of grief as well and letting that be real. Um, so but that said, I'm also a really really strong believer in like real healing that is really deep and can happen really quick as well. I don't prescribe to the idea that the only way people learn and grow in life is through difficulty. I really think that we can learn and grow and evolve no matter what, and it's sometimes it's just about making good choices. And if we keep making the wrong choices over and over and over, it might just keep getting harder and harder for us, and it might take a really painful experience to learn and to change and to grow in any given way. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the reality of we are able to shift and to change and to grow, change our mindsets, create new neural pathways, and find quick healing. So even in places of grief, I don't run away from it. At least I seek not to. My my core value and my ideal with these things is to be really real with things that come up, and to feel it and not bypass anything, but then also to in a real way look on the bright side of life. What are you grateful for? And really come through things quickly to come back to that state of joy, because I also believe that the states that we indulge in internally actually do affect the world around us. So if I choose to really go down deep and indulge in negative feelings and negative emotions, it's like I'm going to be emitting that vibration to the world around me and manifesting more of that and recreating more of that. So for me, it's like, be real with what comes up, and don't pretend it's not there. Don't shove it down, because it is there. If it's there, that's still the vibration that you're going to be emanating, even if you put on a fake smile, and shove it down and pretend that it's not there. What actually emits from you vibrationally is the reality that's alive internally. So, not pretending that things are not there, not shoving it down, but really seeing it, but then also learning to quickly shift it in a real way and come back to thankfulness and gratitude and unconditional love and forgiveness and acceptance of what is, and these things that I think are really important messages to really grasp and vibrate out into the world around us too, because yeah, that's what the world needs, you know and I want to be one that these positive attributes can flow through.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I asked because when you were talking about, well, I asked for a variety of reasons, but one of the things that when you were talking about how your fans who listen to maybe just your recorded music see you as this kind of serious guy, is I've found that people will kind of idealize the spiritual people that they listen to as if they never go through periods of grief, or they never go through anger, or things like that, because that's not spiritual, or that's so I think
Mm,
it's just nice to kind of
yeah.
let people in on your humanity.
Yeah. Well, everything is spiritual. It's just we perceive things in different ways, but
Hmm.
everything has spiritual implications. And so this is relevant to another song on my album called "The Song of the Dawn." And yeah, so this song, it says, "I will sing the song of the dawn in the dark of the night, and when the morning takes too long, I'll bring my own light." And it's
Hmm.
about being real with painful experiences that we go through, but then also stepping through and empowering ourselves to bring forth light and to bring forth goodness in the midst of that.
That
And
feels really familiar, by the way. Have you performed that live? Like, is that an older song?
yeah, yeah. So I haven't released a recording of it yet, but you probably
Okay.
have heard me sing it in the
Okay. Yeah.
past, I imagine. Yeah, yeah. And there's another line in it that says, "So if you have to feel the pain, feel it hard and feel it all the way, so you don't
Mm.
have to come back there again. There's a reason why it came, and there's a
Mm.
season for the rain." And so it's like,
This is
when it
why
comes.
people love listening to your stuff. And
Oh,
I
thank you.
remember, by the way, because you're not going to say this probably, but like when I went to one of your live shows, I went to two actually. Everybody in the audience knows every single word that you're saying. It's amazing. So if you don't
I
get it
mean,
from you,
I'm
you
at
got it
this
from the
point,
person next to you.
oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm a small fish in a big pond. Not a lot of people know anything about me or who I am or have heard my
But they
music,
love you
but I
hard.
have found that the people that do find my music seem to really like it. And I mean, so we met in Arizona when you lived in Arizona, and I love going to Arizona because there's such a beautiful family that like a whole bunch of people that I know are going to show up at anything that I do there. And it's such a ragtag group of people that are like from all different walks of life, and somehow they found my music. And a lot of people are like not even people that probably go to live music events very often, but somehow they've found what I do and they're always there. And I love the unifying power of positive music as well, bringing people together. It's
Mm,
it's something that I really love doing, really passionate about in that way.
yeah, creates a community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I'm not sure if it's just because I left a community before the lockdowns happen, but or if it's just that this is a theme for, for the reason for because of the lockdowns, but that lack of community, I felt so challenging through this period. And it only just occurred to me a few months ago that I could create one online with people. So I've been doing that. I mean, I was in Mexico where I could meet with actual human beings, but here in Washington, I so far haven't. I think I'm about to. I think I'm on the brink of actually being around some live bodies.
Great.
But yeah, that community, I mean, that's so important. That's not, it might be like a side effect of your music, but it's a really important factor. It's what, it's the fabric of society. Like we aren't meant to be living in little rectangles, literally.
Yeah, little rectangles. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not meant to be so insulated from the rest of the world in sterilized environments. And also we live in a lot of humanity lives in sterilized environments, not in touch with nature much. And I think that that's a really, really key important thing. I think it's really good to get your bare feet on the ground regularly and be in touch with other life forms, other people who are not humans as well. Because yeah, for hundreds of thousands of years humans have lived in harmony with nature. And the agricultural revolution only happened 10,000 years ago, and then the industrial revolution is only a couple hundred years ago, and then the internet and like the way things are moving, it's like boom, 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 boom. And something that I have been thinking about and learning a little bit about, and I actually feel a bit of concern about, is the development of artificial intelligence and the potential of transhumanism, and where that could be going with humanity basically melding with machines. And there's potential for it to be a good thing in certain ways, and there's a whole lot of potential for it to go really, really wrong, and for life to be in danger as a result of it. And I think it's kind of inevitable that we're moving that way more and more towards. I mean, we all carry around a tracking device in our pockets at all times at this point, in our lives are very, very intertwined with technology even already, even though most of us don't have a chip implanted in our brains yet, but but we're already very intertwined. And yeah, it's kind of inevitable that humanity is moving more and more in that direction. And gosh, I just hope that through all of that we don't forget about what's actually real and what's actually alive, and stay in touch with nature and in touch with our food sources, and in honor of the elements, in honor of water as sacred. And I think humanity has a lot to do in waking up and remembering our connectionness with the rest of nature as one with ecology, rather than some kind of a special type of being that rules over creation or something like that. We are part of ecology. We are a part of nature, and it's really important for us to remember that, I think, now more than ever. And it's only going to get more and more important, I think, with the way things are going.
Yeah. It's a product of, well, and something that was said in, like, I think was it The Social Experiment, or there's that Netflix movie that was on social
Oh,
networks.
yeah.
The Social
Yeah.
Network.
I didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not coming to me now. Sorry, but
Yeah.
anyway, the one of the concepts that really struck me in it, that struck me when you were talking, was this idea that the people that are basically deciding how society is going to live, basically, because it's such a huge influence, these social networks, right, are not thinking of them in terms of their effects on humanity. It's just a cool new thing, and then they have to go back and go, okay, how do we alter this so that it doesn't do X, or how do we alter this so it doesn't do Y? And it's already a living system, and it's like, you can't do anything, like it's like the atom bomb, like like, okay, you made it, but guess what it's going to be used for? It's like, no, 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 that's not why I made it. Yes, but it exists, so it can be
Mm-hmm.
used for anything. You know,
Mm. Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
it's pretty crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I've got a friend actually who's she's really high up and well respected worldwide in the world of AI development. And she's also a very earth connected, spiritually minded being. And yeah, she actually being really, really connected and part of that field, she sees a lot of good in it, and she's really pro the development of artificial intelligence and how it could be assisting humanity and assisting life. But also, she recognizes that there's a huge risk in it, and she
Yeah.
reckons more of a risk than anything, more than climate change, even. And
Mm.
she reckons that with the way things are going, there's about a 10% chance that all life could go extinct in the next 100 years
Wow.
as a result of how it could be going. So just kind of having this kind of inside information about the direction that things are going, it's kind of like it makes me go like, wow, um, even more and more like grow my own food, drink clean water from good sources, be in touch with nature, and like encourage that around me, like love what's real, be in touch with what's real.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, but that's kind of the kind of thoughtfulness and person that you would want creating something that altering, that's, of of society,
Yeah,
when, because
exactly.
when I listen to, and I don't listen to a lot of Elon Musk, but when I, for example, listen to like Elon Musk discuss these things, that doesn't seem to be a consideration. The coolness of the technology seems to be like a huge consideration, and going further and further and further, but like how it will be used or how it will affect humanity, not so much. And why should it be? Because that's not his job, you know
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so hopefully they'll hire people that for that will be their job.
Yeah, exactly. Well, another thing that I'm aware of in the industry of that is that like 90% of the people that are in the development of artificial intelligence are um, younger generation males, younger generation
Mm,
men. And so there's an imbalance in the masculine and feminine dynamic, as well as, people that are wise and have been around for a while are
right.
not really big in that world. And so basically, I think that we need more women in the space that are in touch with that aspect of being and relating as a human. I'm a really big fan of like full honoring the balance of masculine and feminine dynamics, and that's where the ideal lies in anything. And if you've got a whole industry that has the potential of completely rewriting the story of how humanity interfaces with reality and with virtual reality even as well, and it's all being headed up by only the masculine dynamic, then we're going to be missing so much more about how to be thinking about these things. So it's
Right.
really, really important, I think, to see more women in the space, and not just more women, but just also in general more people that are just in touch with the heart and not
Mm-hmm.
just like intrigued by this new interesting world they're
Right.
creating.
Well, and have life experience. I think that's a really
Hmm.
interesting insight. It was something I was thinking about in the bath last night, actually. So I was like, whoa, most of our society for like the past how many thousands, tens, hundreds, thousands of years has been decided by, and I wasn't even thinking male, but of course, male men mostly, right?
Hmm.
But young men, because people didn't live very long. Everything that
Wow.
was created within like what, the first 20, 30 years of someone's life.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
and if they were lucky, maybe like a few more decades. But I was like, that's so crazy. Because we complain about that now. We're like, why are 20-year-olds in charge of it? But they've always been.
That's so interesting. It's really ironic as well because now of all times, with all the medical advances that we've had, people are living to ripe old ages of 100 and
Right.
more, and so we have like more than ever the opportunity to have healthy leadership from eldership,
Right.
but we're also more than ever living isolated from other generations even, so back to like what you were talking about we live in rectangles, we live in rectangles within other rectangles, fences,
Right.
that separate us from the other humans. And even just the concept of like land ownership, and like, you're allowed to be on this part of land and you're allowed to be on this part of land because like somebody says that somebody owns something or something like that. It's all made up. It's all a weird game that humanity is
Sure.
playing or something like that anyway, but like we're so insulated from not only nature but other humans. And there's not like the village anymore, there's not like the community anymore, and multi-generational living, you know and I do find it really sad that a lot of our elders are just put together in care homes, and kind of like just not we need a more integrated approach to multi-generational living, and really honoring those who have lived life and have wisdom to share, and
Hmm.
instead of reinventing the wheel again every generation. And you know
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that there was perhaps an imbalance at some point in the honoring of the elderly, and not enough maybe in the innovation and like new zest for life that youth does bring. Because I see
Mm.
that there's like a beauty in both, right? I mean, a naive there's like a naivete from the youth that is necessary, because otherwise all of the wisdom that the elders have, I mean, they might have it, but they don't feel like doing anything with it. Like that's
Uh-huh.
not the energizing part of your life where you're like, yes, let's build on this. So like the youth is the one that's going to want to build upon these in my mind as I think about this right now.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so, and I think that there has been, and still in a lot of cultures, there's like too much probably of an emphasis on what has been done and what works, and you know
Mm. Mm-hmm.
this, and maybe that's why we kind of push them away, but it's not balanced.
Mm. So yeah, we've got to find that balance, don't we? Of
Yeah.
of of all the different um, parts of aspects of life, times of life, finding their place in an integrative way.
Yeah.
Hmm. Ha! Let's do it. Yeah.
All right, so
Let's get
here's
down to
your
business.
project for this week. um, no, it's good to bring up simple things that we can find easy solutions for.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done it in a while, but I used to every once in a while go and perform my songs in a local elderly home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful experience. I haven't been allowed to for the last couple of years because of all the
Right.
stuff,
Right.
the thing that's going around.
Right.
But yeah, it's really beautiful to just be in the presence of a whole lot of life experience, and they're so stoked and so happy to have a visit and have a performance and just have a chat, just hang out and talk, and gosh, I remember there was this one woman that was there, and after I played, everybody was like, "Oh, get her to play the piano," and so we all gathered around the piano, and this woman, I wish I could remember her name. She was very not present cognitively. She was pretty advanced with um, Alzheimer's or something like that, and so she didn't even know her own name at that point. But she sat at the piano, and music just rolled off her fingers. She was a professional pianist in her
Oh, wow.
day, and it just like I was just like I've never witnessed somebody playing piano like that in front of me. And it's this person that her mind is spent in some ways, but in
Hmm.
other ways she's just like brilliant virtuoso, just incredible to witness. So again, gosh, amazing power of music, right?
Yeah. No, I've heard that people with Alzheimer's, music is something that they will actually remember if you play like a song from their youth or something, that it'll bring up stuff, because
Mm.
I guess it's a different part of the brain. I don't know how that works, but
Huh. Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
That is really cool. There is, I mean, you know that from memorizing your songs and playing them live, right? There's like a different part of your brain because it's not intellectual where you know how to put your fingers. There's like some other thing at, not that I play guitar, but when I play piano, there's like some other thing that where your fingers know where to go. It's quite mysterious.
Yeah, yeah, the muscle memory
Yeah.
and yeah, it sticks. Yeah, the human mind is very intriguing to me. I'm very interested in perception and neuroscience and stuff like that. So, yeah,
Oh,
it's good
okay.
stuff.
So maybe that's like your next, is that your next venture? Maybe get your
I mean,
PhD in neuroscience and
I mean, no, I don't think so. Although that could be one thing that if I lived for 1,000 years, that could interest me, but I do have to. I have to say no to something so I can give full yes to what I am spending my life on. You know.
yeah, you have a few more songs to record before you do that,
Yeah, I have
maybe.
some more songs to record. Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, would you like to share where people can find you on the rectangular the rectangular venues in your life?
Oh, the rectangular venues.
Well,
Yeah.
and
So
on the
yeah,
internet and all that.
on the interports. Yeah. So you can find me, Chad Wilkins, on social media, Facebook, and Chad Wilkins Music on Instagram. And my website is chadwilkinsmusic.com. And you can find my music on any of the platforms where you find music: Spotify and YouTube and Apple and Deezer and Bandcamp and wherever you like to find music. I'll be there. So Chad Wilkins is my name.
Cool. I will share that so you can link to it or click on the link that I put in the podcast descriptions. Chad has an album coming out March 11th, Hollow Bones So I Can Fly. Am I getting that right?
Yep.
And I will play the song that you send me after this. So please stick around and listen to this because you will get another angle of Chad's personality and be able to listen to his beautiful music. So don't go anywhere. It was lovely having you, Chad, and I will see y'all in our next podcast. Bye.
Ciao. Thanks so much for having me.